Hello out there, and today we are talking about this knife, the Rave. Right, and the Rave is a Crkt and Ken Onion design that was released exclusively under the Snap-on brand. All right, so even though this is a Crkt knife, and it does say Crkt on the back side here, if you were to go to the Crkt website and click the link for this knife, it would actually send you to the Snap-on website to purchase it. So again, Snap-on branded only. This knife comes in a few different configurations. The one that we have here is the one that I think is the most attractive. It is the black handle with the red trim. There is one with a red handle and black trim, and then a black on black one as well. All right, I need to let you know just in advance of going over any particulars that mine is a cosmetic blemish. Why it is a cosmetic blemish, I have not figured that out. I don't know. This knife looks pretty much perfect to me. You know, it was new in box, except for the fact that it was a blemish, and I've looked this knife over, used it extensively, and really haven't been able to figure out what the problem was that kept this from being sold. You know, a lot of times with budget knives or, you know, any knife, there's going to be some small fit and finish particulars, but nothing that jumped out at me as saying, oh, this knife couldn't be sold for this cosmetic reason. So it all seems to function perfectly, looks pretty good. You can see that there's this X right here beneath the logo, which marks it as a blemish. But apart from that blemish, I don't really see anything. All right, but getting into the specs, this is a knife with a 2.36 inch blade of 1.4116 steel, which I'll talk about in depth a little bit later, because this is my first experience, I think, with this steel. Can't remember ever having another knife with that steel. So like I said, 1.4116. It is a little bit heavy for its small size at 3.7 ounces, which my scale actually matched. So 3.7 ounces, a little bit heavy, but it is a shop knife. You know, it's supposed to be a small, heavy-duty knife. So the fact that it is a tip-down pocket clip is really not a big deal, because this is, you know, supposed to be just a knife that you have in your pocket and are working with. Nothing that you should need to pull out and deploy quickly. All right, so there is that. It is nice that the clip is a deep carry clip, though. Always like to see that. Our handle scales here are glass-filled nylon, or if you want the scientific term that they use, the glass-reinforced polypropylene, but essentially glass-filled nylon, and it's really comfortable. You know, I'm going to get into more detail about this, but I really like the feel of these scales. It feels almost canvasy, so nice job on these. We have a flat ground blade, and just overall a good, small, hefty size. All right, so jumping into what the really good things about this knife are. Number one is the blade. So I'll take my hand off it. I've been blocking it for a few seconds. So the blade has a really nice flat grind here. You can see a little bit of belly, and there is a nice, it's not an acute point, but enough of a point to do some piercing if you need to. Just overall, a generally good shape for utility. Really like this one. Very reminiscent of a lot of other Onion designs as well. The 1.4116 blade steel is, again, one that I've not really used before in the past. The research that I did on it said that it is a German cutlery steel, and that it doesn't retain its edge particularly well. But that information also said that the knife, the blade would be hardened to about 54 to 55 on the Rockwell scale, and the information for this knife says it's hardened up to 55 to 57, which completely changes the properties of the steel. So all I can really tell you is my experience in using it, and that experience is that it's good. It's good. I'd put it right up there with 8CR13 MOV. Retains its edge really well, takes an edge really well. Yeah, I just really liked it as a good user steel. Is this one you're going to have to maintain? Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you're going to have to. I mean, this is meant to be used, and you know, like 8CR13 MOV, it will eventually lose its edge, but you know, it touches up well, functions really nicely, and I think the flat ground blade has a lot to do with that, just like holding its edge pretty well. All right, moving on to other things that are good about it. The lockup and the actual function of the lock and opening and closing, very good. All right, nice strong liner lock. There's no real milling here. Again, they're not really trying to cut weight with this one, as it is a shop knife. Not too worried about it. So at 3.7 ounces, you do have a little bit of heft, and it does feel strong and sturdy in the hand. So that's definitely a good thing. The opening and closing, it's not fantastic, but again, this isn't one that's meant for quick deployment. So you're running on the Teflon washers. If I can get that focused. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can even see them in there, but maybe right in there. Yeah, Teflon. The flipper works pretty well. It's not going to be quick by any means, but yeah, with a good enough push, you can actuate it without really too much of a flick of the wrist. So good there. One of my favorite aspects of the knife, though, is the material and the feel of the handle scales. I'm not going to say the ergonomics are good, and we're going to hit that in just a moment, but the actual handle itself is really comfortable. I love the grippy texture of this. Like I said, the glass-filled nylon here doesn't feel particularly slick the way maybe, I'm trying to think, like the Rat 2 or the Rat 1 isn't necessarily like the grippiest kind of Zytel or glass-filled nylon handle that you're going to come across, but this one has a nice, almost like I said, canvasy or cloth kind of feel to it that gives you a good grip. And the rubber inserts, though they're not any kind of expensive material, are soft and definitely giving you good texture and comfort. So overall, the way it feels in the hand here is good, is very good. So really like that aspect of it. So what don't I like? Well, the thing that really bothers me about this knife is the ergonomics. All right, the ergonomics are just sort of a killer. Because again, this is supposed to be a shop knife. This is a knife that you should be doing a lot of work with. And I'm going to bring in another knife real quick, because what I really wanted the snap-on Rave to be was a smaller version of the No Time Off. You know, just in terms of what the use and the principles could be. You know, the No Time Off is a big, beefy shop knife, a heavy-duty type of folder. And it's a wonderful blade. And I thought this could just be a smaller version of that. Well, when you have a small knife, the most important thing, I think, to having a small knife is making it usable in the hand. You know, like, small knives are great, but if it doesn't fit right in your hand and it's not comfortable and the ergonomics aren't good, then you're not going to really be able to use it for any type of heavy task. And that's the problem here. Like, you can't use this for any type of heavy task because of how it actually sits in the hand. You know, I have small to medium hands, and while it's extremely comfortable and I love the material here, it's just not giving me the kind of confidence that I'm going to be able to do a good job long-term cutting stuff. I wouldn't want to use this knife consistently over and over again. You know, for some light work, sure, but if I'm going into like heavy detail, heavy work with straps or a lot of cardboard, no. I mean, it just, my hand doesn't get onto the handle enough. You know, it's just not a comfortable hold over the long term, and there's not a number of configurations where I can move my hand around and keep it comfortable. You know, is it terrible? No, but for a shop knife, one that you want to get a lot of use out of, it's not very good. Let me bring in a couple other knives that like sort of show what I would want to see in a small knife. All right, so I have a Cold Steel Tough Light, broken tip acid etch. It's a little bit of a mess right now, but you can see with this one, you know, you don't have too much of a difference between the size of the knives, but you've got these great choils, and it's just wonderfully comfortable in a number of different configurations. You know, you can get your full hand on the knife. You're choked up the same way that you have to be choked up on this one. So, you know, there's just a lot of good with this kind of handle design. You know, let's go even smaller. Crkt minimalist right here, right? Tiny, almost non-existent scales. But look at what happens with the hand. You get a really nice grip, and then this lanyard here, your finger wraps around. And I really like that. I like that touch. The Liang Ma number 5 had this as well. And if we had a lanyard hole right here, that might make a big difference. That might really make a big difference in how this knife feels in the hand. But for me, I just feel like I could pull this knife out of my hand. You know, the jimping is good. The comfort on the sides is good, but it just doesn't give me the confidence, like I said. So sort of a bummer there. Sort of a deal breaker, to be honest with you. Now, the one thing that stands out, though, with the Snap-on knife is the Snap-on branded issue. And guys, I hate it. I like Snap-on as a company, but I don't like the fact that you are not able to get this knife from Crkt, or you're not able to buy it from secondary markets like Amazon or other dealers. It just makes it difficult, and it drives the price up. And this shouldn't be a $40 or $50 knife. This should be a $25, $30 knife. And Snap-on is going to charge closer to the MSRP than, say, like Amazon would, or Blade HQ would. And it's just sort of disappointing because they do have some really nice designs, and when they're exclusive, it's just harder to get your hands on them. And it would be nice if, maybe CRKT like kept one of the color configurations for themselves and put the other ones exclusively to Snap-on. I don't know. There's got to be a couple other things that you can do with a design like this that would give the Snap-on brand its product that it wants, but also give the fans of, say, Ken Onion and CRKT a better accessibility to it, because I don't really have a Snap-on truck in my local area, and to be honest with you, the Snap-on website, me trying to use it, it's a joke. I can't find anything on there that I want, and and the prices, like I said, it just makes me rather purchase a different knife than this. And I came across this one on eBay, so it sort of worked out. But just in general, the way that they do the branding with the Snap-on knives is not one that I really like. Again, a lot of stuff to really like about this knife, but that isn't one of them. Overall, if you're looking for a knife the way I was when I purchased this, I think there's better options out there. I'm not going to say this is a terrible one, but, like I've said before, I have small to medium hands, and if I'm having a problem with this in my hand, then a lot of people will too. And the Tough Light, the Mini Tough Light, those are both fantastic ergonomically. There's a lot of other options out there that I think might work a little bit better. Apart from that, this knife is actually a really solid design. There's just a few misses that make it one that I can't wholeheartedly endorse. So again, guys, I think that's all I got. Any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you about this one. If you've had this knife, if you feel the same way, if you feel differently, definitely let me know. The giveaway contest ends tonight, so if you're still watching and you haven't entered, I'll link to that in the description down below. But thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will speak with you all soon.